lovers, I'm always looking for new and interesting ways to preserve my harvests, and green onions are one of those things that I get an abundance of in my backyard, especially since I started growing Egyptian walking onions. I'll put a video link in the description below because I think every gardener should grow Egyptian walking onions. I just get so many of these beautiful green shoots and I use them a lot in my cooking. I freeze a bunch of them, but by far the most effective way that I have found to use up a lot of green onions is by dehydration. So let me show you really quick how I do that. It's really as simple as this, folks. I like to cut them into, a couple of inch long pieces. I find that they dehydrate faster that way. And I just put them in my dehydrator and let them go for 5 or 6 hours or so. That's about how long it takes to dry these to a point where I can actually powder them and store them away. So I'm loading up my dehydrator here, and this one contains 6 trays. As you can see, I load them up pretty thick because these green onions shrink drastically once they're in the dehydrator. Now, one thing to pay attention to is because these are tubes, if you wash them, sometimes you have water inside these things, and that will just make the dehydration process that much slower. So I run these through my salad spinner, and that gets rid of all the excess water. Okay, so my trays are all loaded up and we're ready to go. So the default that this goes to is 10 hours. The temperature is around 158 degrees Fahrenheit. That's perfectly good. So let's come back when it's done and I'll show you what the finished dried leaves look like, and then we'll just pulverize them in a food processor. Okay folks, so it's the next day and it's right around the 7-hour mark that this thing completed. And I kind of just left it overnight. I came roughly around the 5-hour mark and I switched the trays around to make sure that there was an even distribution of heat happening. And let me show you what it looks like. So it took a total of about 7 to 8 hours to get to this point. And here is the final result. As you can see, it has flattened down quite a bit. If you guys remember, it was kind of heaped up. And it's nice and crisp. So now we're going to grind this up, and I'll tell you that all of last night there was a delicate smell of onion throughout the house. So if you don't like that, you probably want to put it somewhere outside so you don't have to smell that all night long. And if you've got a pregnant woman in your house, you definitely don't want it in the house. I remember how it was for me. I could not even stand the sight of onions, leave alone the smells. I'm going to go ahead and grind these now. I like to pulverize these. You can actually, when you're making them, the larger ones, you can snip them a lot smaller, and then you can use it to, when it dries, you can use it to top ramens and soups and things like that. For me, it's more practical to use it as a powder. I just throw it into soups, into dips, into spreads, you name it, into rubs, marinades, etc. It adds a delicious onion flavor to all of those things. So I will pulverize it for you in my food processor. I've got actually a coffee grinder that I dedicate to the spicier things. I'm going to put this in that, and I'm going to show you what the pretty green powder looks like after that. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can see this beautiful green powder. It's not all pulverized. I'll probably press it a couple more times and get it all nice and smooth. But this is what you will store, and this is what you will use in all those wonderful recipes that I just talked about. So I hope you tried this, folks. This is a delicious fresh flavor. It's very different than your regular onion powder flavor. I highly recommend you give it a try. This is one of those things you do at home. You can't really get these green onion powder. You can't get that in the grocery store, and it's definitely a unique onion flavor. And until next time, live green and love your greens. Now I do have to be careful of my kitties. They seem to enjoy green onions, so I have to be careful because I do not want cat spittle in my dried green onions. Get out of here.